Very, very good morning, our dear viewer, and you are welcome to the Leadership Wednesday show. We are trusting that you are having a lovely day ahead, and thank you so much for also finding time to be with us. Of course, you know, when it is on Wednesday, it's all about Leadership Wednesday, and this is in regards to looking at issues related to leadership in the country. Of course, we always say that it all falls and rises on leadership, and therefore you have an obligation, you have a contribution, just as I do, to ensure that we do something to ensure that we better our leadership. And of course, when we better our leadership, it basically translates to having a better society, having a better country, and of course, inclusive of our 47 counties. And of course, so much has been happening in the country, and key being yesterday's events. And that is what we want to put into perspective today. We are talking about a call to sobriety and sanity, a call to sobriety and sanity. And we are asking you this particular question, even as we want you to interact with us and also to give us your opinions and your perspectives. What do you think needs to be done to restore sanity and tranquility in the country? What do you think needs to be done to restore sanity and tranquility in the country? Now, the events that unfolded yesterday are very pathetic, being the very, very first time in the history of this particular nation that we saw demonstrators storming into a very, very integral institution in the country, that is the National Assembly. Now, what does this mean for this particular country? Which way forward? What do we need to see our leaders talking about? And to the demonstrators, what issues are they talking about? What do they need to see being done? And what ways are they supposed to use to ensure that they highlight their grievances? These are some of the issues that we want to put into perspective in the Leadership Wednesday today, and ensuring that by the end of this particular program, at least we should have shed some light on how we need to see this particular country moving forward. Karibu sana, my name is Mangicho Mola, and of course, this being the main story, and of course, item that has made the headlines, it basically means it will form the basis of our discussion in the program. And I have a panel that will help us get into this on set. I'm being joined by governance analyst, that is Bwana Ben Mashari, is a governance analyst. Karibu sana, and most welcome to the Leadership Wednesday program.
Thank you, Mr. Mangicho, for always having me in the show to discuss matters of national importance to our people and to our country.
Asante sana, Bwana Ben Mashari. You're most welcome. It's good to have you today, even as you help us look at and be in a position to shape this particular discussion in relation to what happened in the country yesterday. And also joining us on set is also governance analyst, Bwana Ben Gadhogo. Karibu sana. A very good morning to you.
Asante, good morning. This sad day. It's a very sad day. It's a very sad Wednesday. We woke up to all the destructiveness, all the sadness of losing young people. That is indeed a very sorry state of affair to our country.
Thank you so much, Bwana Gadhogo. And you're also, we have the pleasure to also have you, and looking forward also for your insights, of course, on this very, very important and critical discussion that we are going to have. As I had pointed out, we are also not leaving you out of this particular discussion. As a citizen, as a patriot, you also have a contribution. You have a say. What do you think needs to be done to ensure that we have sanity prevailing, we have tranquility prevailing in the country amidst what we are seeing happening? You can channel your contribution, you can channel your opinions and your perspectives on our modes of feedback. They are wide open. For shortcut platform 23814, 23814 is free of charge. You can put a comment or two And of course, you can also join us on our social media pages. Facebook, that is MBCI TV, and YouTube, that is MBCI TV Official. You can also join us on those two platforms, and you can drop your opinions, and we'll be glad to also see how you respond to this very, very important discussion. As we continue, we'll be able to sample some of them. So karibuni tena, my able panelist for this particular discussion. And just as I had told our viewer, actually it is the main story that has hit the headlines today across almost half of the pages of our newspapers this morning, and therefore warranting and actually showing the magnitude of what has or what really happened. Maybe just in a minute, as I begin with you, Bwana Ben Macharia, we had last week, we had the protest that were largely peaceful compared to the ones that we witnessed yesterday. Where was the disconnect?
Thank you very much. I think for our viewers, the question of the finance bill, when it first came into play, and our young people have come now to understand what it really means, what when you talk about the finance bill, they raised objections last week, and they had maybe a quite peaceful environment where they raised the issue, okay, and they started demonstrating the same against the clauses that were there, the finance bill, against the backdrop that they had raised the same issues as the public participation. And even our leaders and our members of parliament were debating that. Mm-hmm. But either way, they still passed the document, and they still showed, like the young people, that you are actually telling us a lot of nothing. Mm-hmm. So they say that now we are going to the other stage, which was now yesterday. Now coming to yesterday, we saw a lot of, during the weekends, a lot of chest thumping from some of these leaders, calling off the young people names and calling them out and trying to tell them they don't understand anything to do with governance. Mm-hmm. But they said, let's meet on Tuesday. It will be messy and hot. But we saw on the part of government that they never did anything to address that matter. You saw even the president, when he was in Nyahururu, he just tried to talk to these people. But we thought that he would actually say something to calm down the situation. But in fact, nothing went on until yesterday, when now the government and the parliamentarians came eye to eye with the protesters, our young people, the Generation Z.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Bwana Gadhogo, as you chip in, yeah, because initially, even when they demonstrated last week, so many Kenyans actually commended them, and people really saw that this is a new form of demonstrations, of course, a new generation. They are calling them the Gen Zs. But unfortunately, yesterday, things turned and things went haywire. What do you think really happened?
Okay, first of all is the breakdown of law and order, the lack of respect for institutions, mm-hmm, and generally mismanagement of our security organs in doing some of the responsibilities that they are charged with. There are institutions that have never outgrown the old constitution. Among those is the police service. Because the Inspector General of Police, according to the Constitution, Chapter 14 of our Constitution, is supposed to be in command, to be completely independent of the political class in maintaining law and order. Okay. What that implies is sometimes the authorities could be wrong. It is the work of the police commissioner to maintain law and order. Other times, the citizenry could be wrong. Mm-hmm. It is still his responsibility to maintain law and order. But the evil nexus between the executive and an independent constitutional office, that is the Inspector General of Police, is the biggest impediment to the constitutional right of demonstration, picketing, and all that. Because if they are taking order from the executive, who is an interested party, they cease being a referee, they cease the maintenance of order, and they become, partisan against the citizenry and always for the executive. I think that is something that should be addressed. And if you look at the demonstration yesterday, I was there in Nakuru, we were offering water, and generally for the better part of the day, without even one single policeman along the routes that the demonstrators were taking. There was no breakdown of any law and order. There was no breaking on any shop. Largely, the demonstrators came, expressed their opinion, sang, and generally expressed what was ailing them. Okay. But the moment the police come, throw tear gas indiscriminately, shoot people at random, of course, it is bound to turn chaotic. But along the week, as my colleague had said, there was also abductions. And Article 29 of the Constitution is very clear. The security of an individual, the security of the person. The Constitution says everybody is guaranteed that constitutional right. You cannot be arrested arbitrarily, and if you're arrested, you should be told why they are arresting you. They should take you to court within 24 hours. You should be represented, the rights of an arrested person. And also it says clearly that every Kenyan has a right not to be subjected to public insecurity or private insecurity. So the moment people arrest you and they are not even identifying themselves as police officers, whether you are wrong or right, then within 24 hours you should be processed in a court of law. Okay. If that does not happen, there is bound to be breakdown of law and order, because now you are actually now planting the seeds of anarchy. Now that is what we harvested yesterday for the better part of yesterday's afternoon. Yes,
thank you. I know later on we will come actually even to the document at the center of what we are witnessing, the finance bill that is now headed to the president. But Bwana Macharia, when you look at what Bwana Githogo is talking about, and I know so many people have been having this particular debate where you draw the line between peaceful demonstrations and goons taking advantage of these. Is there a very thin line?
I think what I would like also to add before I come to that point is that, our young people, when you look at them, they have come of age now. Because we ourselves, we have been activists, me and Kina Githogo here for many years. We have been demonstrating, but people have always been calling us names that we are idlers and so on and so forth. So these are systematic issues which are now coming through our young people, that they have come to realize that some of these institutions are not working anymore. You see, when you see last year when there was the same issue of the finance bill, somebody went to court and they were dismissed. They were told, those are not issues that you want to say you are trying to sabotage the country. Again, the court gave some orders here and there until people felt like something somewhere was not right with our institution. The same way now, we delegate our powers as the people of Kenya through elected leaders like our MPs. Just like I said before, they never listened to what we are saying. And we knew that even you see one of them, MP Koimburi, saying on national television that our colleague have been given 2 million each to vote the other way. Look the other way in terms of now listening to what these people are saying. That means, and it defeats the whole idea of public participation. So when you push these young people to a level whereby they see us as parents going home, and we are going home with nothing. We are telling them the government has chopped us our salary. We will not give them money. We will not take them to school. We will not do this and that. They are bound to take responsibility, and that is why they went to the way they went. That is why, for them, they were restraining themselves so much. Until up that time, you find some people trying to come in and trying to say that there were goons and hooligans among them. I was part of the demonstration yesterday as I was walking along Kenyatta Avenue. I could see the way they were plucking some bad elements within them. They could pick the demonstrators themselves.
Identifying
yes, they could pick. You know, they had information that one of the MPs around here had organized some goons to go and sabotage their demonstration. So what they did when they were doing the demonstration, they could pick. There were some with armed bandits. They could pick them and rough them up. They threw them off the Mandamano, and those people could actually run away. So they overcame that one because he had organized around 200 people. But there we are talking about thousands of young people, which means that the question of hooligans taking over the demonstration, for me, what I witnessed here in Nakuru was neither here nor there. Because
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Jipatie ploti ya 50 by 100 katika mandhari mazuri na ya kuvutia Viwandani Estate kwa shilingi 1649. Ploti hii inapatikana mkabala na Simba Cement, dakika 5 tu kutoka kwenye barabara kuu ya Nakuru Eldoret. Ploti hii ni mwafaka kwa kuishi. Kuna maji ya borehole na stima katika kila ploti. Ploti hizi zinaweza kufikiwa kwa urahisi kwani ziko karibu na barabara ya tarmac. Nunua sasa na upate miti iliyokomaa katika kila ploti. Tuma jina Nakuru kwa 21404 au tupigie 0758707050 au tutembelee jijini Nakuru Tower 1 Building. Haiso Properties, a culture of trust.
Tune in this Thursday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. as we take you through on how you can prepare your beef tornado served with stick of pasta vegetable. I also have tested that the way done. You will feel the taste of the meat.
Yeah.
But when
it's done already, you will not feel anymore they are eating meat. You will eat like something hard. And
so for the vegetables, you cook them together. It's not like you start with the red or the green.
No. It should be all because it's only for mixed vegetable. You can add many things in the vegetable.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Okay, welcome back, our dear viewer. There was a short technical hitch there, but we are still back here, right on the Leadership Wednesday edition. We are glad that you are watching. And of course, today, focusing on what has been happening in the country, yesterday's events, hitting the headlines in the country and even beyond the borders. And unfortunately, from a very, very negative perspective. But of course, we are here to ensure that we have these calls for sobriety and sanity, to ensure that we have sobriety and sanity in the country. And we are also roping you into the discussion. We have a question that we've put out for you there. You can still continue giving us your perspectives. What do you think needs to be done to ensure that we have restoration of sanity and tranquility in the country? 23814 is our shortcut platform. And of course, you can also catch us. We're live on our social media channels. That is Facebook, MBCI TV, YouTube, that is MBCI TV official. I have two gentlemen. These are experts in matters governance, Bwana Ben Masharia and also Bwana Ben Gathogo, governance and political analyst, helping us to shape this particular discussion. Karibuni tena. Bwana Masharia, you're winding up on a particular point, and maybe even as you pick up on the same, because one of the things that also maybe came out is the issue of demonstrators accessing what we are calling these protected areas, and the security apparatus believing that those attempts to try to get and invade those protected areas could be some of the triggers for what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I think just like you're saying, we have reached a point in our country whereby our young people they have seen that even as they try to, express themselves for them to get redress or justice for that matter, the same people who are violating their rights are the leaders and elected ones. And especially like you see now when you are talking about the members of parliament. And probably any other person would feel that anyway, what is going on there in that building is what is actually going to punish all of us Kenyans for the high taxes, for whatever is going to happen there. So they feel they had now maybe their obligation and a duty to stop these people. Sometimes that's what happens. That's why you see, even sometimes when you go and you want to attack somebody, you have to be subdued. Either somebody shoots you, put you down in one or another for purposes of making sure that at the end of the day, and again they know, when parliamentarians are in that parliament, even last time, these people, there was a way they was acting with a lot of impunity. And these people, young people like now we are talking about, they don't care about those areas anymore. Because now they expected those houses to be house of honors. So that whatever they say, they present there, they talk on behalf of Wanjiku. But now these went against even the young people. That's why you see some members of parliament. In fact, it was very bad, Mangicho. We could see some members of parliament taking selfies and recording videos and throwing on the internet, on the social media, trying to disparage the young people, that they are doing a lot of nothing. I think that even angered the young people more to understand that these people are there, they think they are reachable, let's go for them. And I think that is where the young people decided, now at least, whether it is a protected area or it's not, they just have to occupy. For which, where we sit, we wouldn't encourage that so much. But also there was a lot of, like my colleague was saying, provocation by the security apparatus to an extent that people felt that we needed to go beyond whatever we were doing outside parliament.
What do you think? Because as Bwana Mashara is saying, surely we have some security personnel who are actually believing that there was provocation to confront some of those demonstrators. But from where you sit, and I know at least you have some wealth of expertise in terms or in relation to what we can actually define as peaceful demonstration, what would be your take on that?
My take is the security officers began infringing on the rights of demonstrators long before the demonstration took place. As I said earlier, their leaders were being abducted and taken to unknown places, were being tortured and all that. The moment security officers become terrorists, then there is always the likelihood that it will be met with terror, because violence begets more violence. But if you stick to the rule of law from the very beginning, allow the leadership to interact with their followers so that there is a clear command between the leadership and their followers, the demonstrators, it is easier to control the leaders than it is a faceless mob. The moment again people are demonstrating for one cause and then other secondary causes emerges, the very primary cause sometimes is lost within the melee of not knowing what am I even demonstrating for. So the first thing that happened is there was now breakdown between the demonstrators and their leadership. You've abducted them, they have given a clear date when they'll be demonstrating. So who is even controlling them? Who is even offering leadership? Because every demonstration must have some leaders behind it. Even yesterday, there must have been people behind that. And Article 37 is very clear. They are just carrying out a constitutional right that they enjoy within the Constitution. Because, as I said earlier, the moment institutions are not independent, either by default or design, because like Parliament is no longer independent, because you only need to have more parliamentarians on your side, and you actually control Parliament, either through bribery, threats, intimidation, whatever. So our Parliament is just a rubber stamp of the executive. So if the executive says one thing, you are sure almost 99.9% they get their way. So when the young people are now saying, let's occupy Parliament, they actually also exercising an article in our Constitution, Article 1 of our Constitution. And yesterday the President quoted a part of the Constitution and failed to go to Sub-Article 2. Just quoted Sub-Article 1 and failed to go to Sub-Article 2. Sub-Article 2 is very clear. The people can exercise that sovereign power directly. It means they can do, it's their parliament. It is their taxes. It is their country. They have just donated power to you temporarily for 5 years. And you are gone. We had Kenyatta, Jomo Kenyatta. We had Daniel Moi. We had Mwai Kibaki. We had Uhuru Kenyatta. Now we have Ruto. It means within a very short time, Ruto will just become a part of Kenyan history. So when we quote and we say, all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya, that is right. Then how is it exercised? Sub-Article 2. It can be exercised directly. We can actually do, this is a very radical constitution. We can actually do without a parliament. That should be very clear to every Kenyan who read the constitution. Because it says that sovereign power can be exercised either directly or through elected officials. Which one is more powerful? The direct one. It begins by saying that sovereign power can be exercised directly or through democratically elected officials. Again, it goes to, are these people even democratically elected? It goes to the issue of IBC, the shenanigans that happens during our nominations, all the things about, servers and staff. So it is a systemic problem, because when people feel that they are not represented, because like almost, even if you take whatever survey, almost 70% of the people or above, 2/3 of the people feel this is not our finance bill. And we are the taxpayers. We are the people who will ultimately pay those taxes. So when we come to express ourselves and say, this is not our bill, so these are not our representatives. These are not our representatives. And the cardinal rule of democracy states, there is no taxation without representation. So if I am being taxed and I'm not represented, what options do I have? You are getting. Those are very long systemic problem. Now, those institutions, the institutions that we are talking about, apart from maybe, what do you call it, State House. And it's the State House where the president is. Otherwise, these are just houses. They're just houses. State House is where the president is at the moment. At that particular time, then it becomes a restricted place because of the security of the head of state. Now when people are demonstrating outside, State House, and you are shooting them as if they are a threat to somebody who is not even there. You are getting now. Or Parliament. Parliament has just sat. They have just passed the law and they are getting out. And then you're imagining as if these people are coming to kill the parliamentarians. That is the people's parliament. They will ban it. Who will repair it? It is not going to come from anybody's money. It's our taxpayer that is going to repair. So is it equivalent, now that parliament, the one that was destroyed, is it equivalent to killing somebody in their 20s? You never know whether that person would have become a parliamentarian or even the president. You just cut short the right of an individual. And Article 26 is the ultimate fundamental right, the right to life. Because why else are we here? But the right to life is sacred.
But that is not to justify the
we are not justifying. But we are saying, now when you shoot people dead, what have you sorted? What problem have you addressed? You just ended their life. And Article 26 is very clear. That means every Kenyan is entitled to life. In fact, we go further and even say the unborn is entitled to life. But now this is the living. This guy is walking. This guy is saying something. Why don't you just listen? So we are saying the restricted areas, again, when there is no leadership, when the demonstrators, you've held the leadership somewhere where we don't know. who is going to guide even the
That's
forwards?
the question that I wanted to ask. When you're talking about these demonstrators, because there are those who believe that these demonstrations were spontaneous, and these are just young generation, they're calling the Gen Zs, that it's actually like for the very, very first time we are seeing them actually coming out.
But they are mobilizers. Every demonstration must be mobilized. There's the one who said come, another one said come. Whether after that it becomes spontaneous, there's a leadership. There's a nexus. That's why we are saying it is a failure of our security organs, not to gather intelligence and know so and so, and to know then to guide you, to guide the demonstrators. Because Article 37 is there. And then, of course, there are all these other rules that talk about restricted areas and all stuff. You talk. We are all Kenyans. We may have very differing opinions, but we are all Kenyans. And it doesn't mean that if I differ with you, the only sentence you can give me is death. I mean, when you shoot somebody straight in the head, what are you saying? You're saying we've trained you to kill us. Actually, who is a terrorist in that instant? Is it the person charged with maintaining law and order, or the demonstrator who actually, now because they even went to parliament, what happened? We still have today. They went did whatever they did and moved out. Arrest them for breaching those areas, charge them. There are clear provisions of the law that you can present them when they are alive. Today they're in a morgue. What are you doing? You are hardening these guys, and tomorrow they will do even more than what they did. Tomorrow they will say the only thing that prevented us from doing this is because we are not armed. What are you going to do when 1 million people come to you?
Thank you.
That's what we are saying. Now, the maintenance and law and order is the responsibility of every Kenyan. The respect for institutions, the reverence of human rights, of life, those are something that are sacred. You don't just go on a killing spree and then say, justify yourself that what you are carrying out is maintenance of law and order. That is not it. And even when Duale, is it Duale, the Minister for Defense, quotes Article 241, he is hiding behind vagueness. That Article 241 says, Parliament, when you order that, you again must pass through Parliament. You don't order. We are not his children. We are not his subjects. All of us are Kenyans, charged with different responsibility. Let's read the law as it is. Let's not misuse the Constitution. There's the Constitution and there's the law. If the Constitution says you declare the army to the streets, pass it through Parliament. Let's hear those who are supporting, so that we can hold them to account.
Absolutely. I hear you, Bwana Gadhogo, and
that is clear through Article 1. The previous Constitution used to say Kenya, we used to say Kenya is a sovereign republic. But now we are saying all powers belong to the people of Kenya. All powers, even those powers, even that Duale, or the president. All the powers that he holds are donated for a time by the people of Kenya, and it can be taken away. It's not hard to envisage that today you could be president and tomorrow you are not. Uhuru Kenyatta was president. No, he's not. He's an ordinary citizen.
Yeah, let me just get the perspective of Bwana Macharia, because actually I think that is where Bwana Macharia, we are having a lot of the people who maybe think that it's quite confusing to really be in a position to identify maybe when the security apparatus are actually justified to use what we can actually term as that excessive force that maybe we saw yesterday. And of course, those maybe who are supporting are of the opinion that maybe the protesters had actually crossed the red line and maybe endangering the lives of maybe other people, and to this particular extent, maybe even the elected leaders.
Well, what I wanted to say is that the law is very clear when it comes to when are you supposed to use, when can you actually, how do you react when you are attacked? As when as a security officer, you can only use your firearm when your life is endangered, or you are at risk of being killed yourself, or even somebody is shooting at you. But you cannot just wake up and you decide now, because somebody, even when you find somebody stealing in a shop, you cannot just come shooting unless that person is coming at you with a weapon, either is shooting at you, and then you can react from that angle. But now you cannot, that's why we have the water cannons. Otherwise we would have machine guns all over. That if you are a protester, we just start shooting you, because the law says that now we should just shoot anything on sight and everything and just kill it. That is why even up to now, those who are shooting the protester, we hope that even IPOA, Independent Police Oversight Authority, will take charge of that. Because at the end of the day, by the time somebody comes in, until you shoot and blow off his brains, the way we saw in the streets outside Parliament, that shows that is a very dangerous criminal. Maybe if that person was armed and was coming even to shoot at any particular leader, but you can imagine people with rungus, all machete, they are armed, people who have all the trainings, vis-a-vis young people who have not even gone for any military training. It is now the way they were dealing, it's like they are dealing with militarized youth, and they are not. In fact, we could see them coming with their weapons, machetes and pangas, but we saw young people with placards just saying, reject, reject, reject finance bill. Which means, as to us, when you look at it, you see excessive use of force by the security agency. And that is why we are saying at the end of the day, even today, now if today we decide we are going to we have a police force, their work is to maintain law and order. So if today we decide now they are unable within a single day, now we call the military now to the street. That means that at the end of the day, as a country, we are a failure. The country has failed. And that is why you see, for us, we expected that even the actions of last week, they could have caught the eyes of the president and he could have come down. You know, sitting down and dialoguing with stakeholders. We are all stakeholders in this republic. Nobody has come from Uganda to demand a better finance bill. In fact, we are all Kenyans in fact, our young people are speaking on behalf of us as parents. Because every home you see here, there is a complaint. But now, because as ourselves, our parents are working, like now they are going through housing levy, we are going through these housing projects and so on, people are being taxed right, left, and center. And until that time, the young people are representing 70% of us and the Kenyans. So you cannot ignore as a leader. Let me laud President Uhuru Kenyatta, because if it was during his time, he could have called for a press conference, come down, say, you know, our Kenyans have listened to the voice of the young people, and it is the voice of the Kenyans. So let me come down. Let's see what we can be able to do with this finance bill.
But you said the president in Nyahururu, he promised that
he promised. But you see, for the longest period, I don't want to say here, because
he's not been given enough time to prepare for these talks.
What has actually been doing? We have all the security apparatus. We have the intelligence. They are watching what we are posting. They see what we are, even now, they are watching this television. They are supposed to guide properly, but we have a leadership that does not listen to anybody. We in Kikuyu, we say there is a leader who does not listen to everybody, but listens to himself. Which means that at the end of the day, when we reach those levels, these young people you are seeing coming all that way, up to that level, they need not just wake up and went to the street. As a leader, you must have listened. By now, in fact, the president, we expect even yesterday, that he could have come on national television and tell us, young people, Kenyans, I have listened, I have heard what you are saying. Let me now even suspend this signing of this issue. Let's have a multi-stakeholder forum, sit down, and then come up with that. Could have calmed down our young people. But when you take that opportunity again to threaten more and call them criminals, and that now they are treasoners, that brings more them now to the next level of fundamentalization. That is why you see somebody can be a petty thief, but you take them to prison, when they go there, they mix with co-criminals, and then when they come out, they become criminals themselves. That is what now the President of the Republic of Kenya is doing to our young people. We needed sober approach. This finance bill is not a matter of life and death. In fact, we don't have a vacuum. We have the finance bill of 2023-2024. It is still the one that is being used to collect the revenues, even up to today. Even if we suspend this today and say that I will not sign that, the other one will still take precedence and will continue. It's only that now, when you become a dictator and you want now to say, now I must raise 346 billion. Come rainfall, vile wanasema kulia kushoto, up and down and all that. You cannot say that to a people. A cow that has been milk, actually imetoka, sasa imetoa maji, sasa inatolewa damu. We must agree as a country that these people are talking on behalf of the common Kenya. These are the conversation around every other place. It is only that leaders have not been bold enough to come and say enough is enough. And that's why you see, even our parliamentarians right now, they come there, they want to tell these young people, they don't know what they are doing. They say, for me to vote yes, it's because of a road that must be built. Who said that finance bill is building a road? Who said that finance, it's only a way of collecting revenue for it to sustain the country. But our leaders must understand they are dealing with a very, very clever generation, a generation that at a you stay in the sitting room, you don't know what your daughter is doing in the bedroom. And by the way, she's controlling the world, and that is why even up to now, if the president does not agree to listen to Kenyans and say enough is enough, let us come, we talk, we build Kenya, we are not going anywhere.
But fair enough to the to Parliament and even maybe the President Bwana the key contentious issues that were raised, apparently they were put into consideration and they were expunged.
Who even put them there in the first place? How do you even tax women pads? How do you even put...
be that as it may, but
no,
they were
taken.
removed.
But who even was there in a conversation?
It was wrong.
And why not even have a conversation and say, we did this, we did that? You know, fundamentally, I was here. If I wish there was a way you could play back some clip. Yes. And I said, I was demonstrating the other time. And I said, this is the beginning of a very long, protracted battle about finance bill. Why? We added $1 trillion from our natural growth. Our natural growth is about 300 billion. And now let's say probably 350 billion. You cannot wake up in the morning and say, we are going to add 2 trillion. You are getting. So the moment you put, you know, like, we are in a Christian studio. We can say, when Moses went to complain, what happened to Pharaoh? He said, no, these people are complaining because they are lazy. Instead of doing one, they'll be doing twice. What happened? Yes. Eventually, the Israelites said to be let go. Because there is that much human beings can be able to do. There is a natural growth curve, if you did economy, and there are unnatural.
So help us to understand here. The balance between those contentious issues that were removed and the demand, the call for this particular bill to be rejected in totality.
The youth were saying reject, don't amend.
Yeah, but and that's why I'm saying there are those who think the youth are just saying this for the sake of it.
No, those ones who think that way are wrong. When you say that, reject it, so that we start. What are the youth saying? They are saying a lot of our money goes towards paying debt. Tell us the amount of debt. Tell us who borrowed it. Tell us what it was used for. You know, very pertinent questions.
But
at our age, I am at an age where my children will question
by the previous government.
What? Yeah, it doesn't matter. The government is perpetual. It doesn't matter who borrowed. It doesn't matter. Kibaki came. He never told us what Moi had done. He just paid. Uhuru came. He didn't tell us what Kibaki did. He just paid. You know, there's propaganda, political propaganda, and reality. Once you are elected as president, even those who never voted for you, you are their president. We want Ruto to become our president. We may disagree with him fundamentally, but he's the president.
Okay.
It is his duty, his only cardinal duty. The first cardinal duty of President Ruto is to be a symbol of national unity. Not to be partisan. You cannot come and label, you know, almost 50% of your populace as terrorists and prisoners. You are getting. It is you, the father figure they are looking up to. It is you to offer solution. And militarization of politics has never been a solution. What you do is a political problem that demands for a political answer. So sit with these guys. Probably they know more than the other generations. And they're asking very pertinent question. What is there to hide about our debt? I mean, you are a father. When your children become of age and they ask, how much do you earn?
Yes.
You say, I am this much.
So is it the timing that is wrong, or the approach?
The reasoning, the approach of politics.
The approach of fixing this debt.
The approach of politics.
Because according to the president,
the approach of politics is wrong. And I usually say, and I want to repeat in this show, that we killed our consciousness when we killed Article 6, Chapter 6 of the Constitution. It opened doors and ways of putting criminals in positions of authority. Any man of criminal is there. Go to that parliament. Take an audit, a criminal audit of every member of parliament. You are going to find out most of them should be at committee. They should not be in parliament. They are there to protect their criminal activities. Come here in Nakuru. You don't even need to go far. Don't we have members of parliament who are heads of militia groups here in Nakuru? Don't we? People are afraid to say some of these things, but it is true. So who do we have? Are they representatives, or actually we have a mafia somewhere pretending that, what is the motto of parliament? For the just good of the people. Is that it? When people can come and say we were bribed to vote. Come on. Let's not close our eye. Let's return at chapter 6 of our constitution there. Then about this 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. Let's say the 90% of the 10% of the constitution that was not done in 2010. Let us enact a chapter on directive principles of state policy that says any government, no matter how bad, you cannot borrow this amount of money. You cannot have this amount of kids out in the streets without a job. You cannot do this, you cannot do that. So that whosoever wants to be our president actually is restricted. But now you have a constitutional dictator. The moment you become president, you buy parliament. The next thing you threaten the judiciary. And you are a constitutional dictator. That's what President Ruto has done. Nowadays, can you approach court and think whatever will come from the court is actually legal? No. He said pass this, or if you don't pass this, the housing levy. If you don't pass this, you will see. You are a bunch of very corrupt people. Didn't he say? So you say, I actually work. When they agree with me, they are not corrupt. When they go against my decision, they are corrupt. So let's have number 1. Respect for independent decision institutions, and then now start moving forward. The chapter 6 was expanded from our constitution when we elected Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, when they had cases to do at the ICC. You get it wrong, you veer away. We used to do sabus that were called esoteric crimes. They pretend as if they are coming together, but forever they will never meet. So long as we continue electing criminals, so long as we have no respect for institutions, so long as independent institutions are misused, we are going to end up with what we had yesterday.
Thank you. And that's a very, very critical area. Bwana Macharia, still on that particular beat, and I think this is now maybe what most Kenyans would really want to find out, because that is the report outside there. That is the utterances that we are getting from the government, and I could even quote the Senator for Kericho, Aaron Cheriot, saying that this bill has to be passed, because if we don't, then it basically means we failed to undertake our foreign financial obligations, and that would actually put us as a country in a big mess than maybe actually what we are witnessing at the moment.
What Kenyans are not being told is that when you see a president going outside the country, every and even the other time, and you see the foreign countries are welcoming the president, there are those what we call sideline commitments, like the IMF, the European countries that are even bringing big loans to our republic. And some of these concessions, before they bring some money in our country, they must ask you, how do you intend to pay our debt? And some of these people, what they normally do when you're in government, it is through the finance bill. You say, for me, on this sector, I'm maybe proposing, I'll collect this amount of money on here, and then I'll be able to pay you. When these people look at what you are now telling them, they look at your viability in terms of repaying their loans. So even when parliamentarians were debating, even last week, there were some characters who were there at the public gallery.
Whites.
Those people, you could see they were there on behalf of their masters.
They were friends of the parliament.
Yes, you know, let me tell you, you cannot just have, even you cannot just go in a European country like Norway and sit at the public gallery when they are making a very serious document. That means that, my friend, they are masters, they monitor what you do, and sometimes they do what we call marionette puppeteering. They pull your hand like this, your leg like this. So when you are talking, it is not you. You now become a puppet. Yes, and you come up and become a puppet. Now you see, when somebody goes out and come up with loans, oh, nitafanya hii, nimepata loan here, I have secured this, you think it is for free. Nothing is for free. That is why you see, when people are saying it is a matter of life and death for them, they know they cannot suspend it because they know they will fall on their obligation and their commitment to their foreign masters. That is the most unfortunate thing that our leader is not telling us. So we come back to our country, we see we are dealing with a population that has been denied serious civic education, and real one, not these cosmetics we see every other day. The question of public participation is neither here nor there. You saw even what they did. You could see the chairman of finance committee, the way he was conducting the public participation. He was just listening. You say, just introduce your name. Ayakachini, sit down. We have heard you. How have you heard me? Okay. Which means that these things were micromanaged because they knew exactly what they wanted to pass. And at the end of the day, I want even to tell you, they were just saying, we have voted for this, we have removed this. You will be surprised, because the common Wanjiko Waithera is not able to read the document. So they will come for your avocado, they will come for your milk, they will come for these eatings and all that. So that at the end of the day, we must, when you become a leader, you cannot subject your people into that kind of agony for the sake of development. We are fathers, we are homes, we have our homes. Sometimes we want to buy new seats, but we take time.
But the government believes that those who are opposed to this particular bill have taken advantage of the ignorant masses, especially in this particular case, the youth, who have not been told of the 80%, actually 90% that is good in that bill.
Who is saying that our youth are ignorant? Right now, even my own daughter, I could see what she had posted yesterday in her status. She had said that these people, they had put 761 billion on development, but 1.6 trillion on operations and their own issues. You see, that is a 19-year-old girl who is now able to look at the document, look at it the way they are calling themselves Gen Zs. They have now dissected the whole budget. They have seen even where there is misappropriation and misuse of public resources. How now do I come to lecture my daughter and start telling her that nitakudanganya, this is the way we are supposed to go? The truth of the matter is, the government must realize they are dealing with people who have now come to the age and understand that they are not going to let themselves to be pushed to a corner. Mangicho, we must agree as a country that whether we like it or not, The global recession, there are so many issues going here and there, and which we expected that to some extent they could have assisted us in terms of coming up with development issues that are sustainable, unlike right now the way we are seeing things being done.
Bwana Kathogo, because according to majority of these leaders, do you agree with them? Are you of the opinion that we would find ourselves even in a very, very dangerous scenario if this particular bill were not to be passed and subsequently being assented by the president?
The bill was being treated as a matter of life and death. It was not. The government can pass a supplementary bill. Even the one that they passed, are you telling me there will be no supplementary money bill that will go to Parliament? Just pass a supplementary bill. Tell the people that we want to hear the youth, but there is going to be, as you are saying, breakdown of our obligation to our international donors. So for 3 months, we are going to operate using this bill. We are going to tax Kenyans this way, just as he's saying. We are going to operate with the old one. And then, after we agree, we are going to go on. There's no crisis. It's a crisis that is being made to appear. When you want to do certain things, you create a drama out of a crisis.
Of course, there is a fear that if it were not to be passed, it would mean a vote of no confidence in the government.
In what? The only vote of no confidence is when you force issues. How many people are now confident of their government? Are you? A government that can just shoot 20-year-old in the head so that they don't scale over a building.
So what is the process like of starting the finance bill again?
The process, it's very easy. Public participation, the same way. You have all the time. Kenya is not going anywhere, Mangicho. Kenya is not going anywhere. This Kenya, tutaiacha tu hapa. So it was just pass a supplementary budget. For this period of time, we discuss. After all, in that budget, even if you are to give the young people, which section of that budget will they interfere with? Only one section, repair and maintenance. The rest are almost cast in stone. So many civil servants to be paid, this amount of fuel to be used for the president and all that. Maybe repair, maintenance, and all the excesses. All these other offices that are being given money, budgeted corruption. You are going to say that 1 trillion. It is the trillion that want to be sneaked in. Only that. It's not a very big issue. Something which can even be done within a week. What has happened is the young people are now awake, as my colleague is putting it. It's not our generation. We were raised when ukiongea kidogo, kiboko inatoka juu ya kabati. You are given those 3 weeks. These kids have grown with the new constitution, where corporal punishment is outlawed. You beat up a kid, you go to jail. So they know their rights. The only thing we've done, we've taken all the resources and used it for ourselves. And then they have become of age. They are not at an age where they should be thinking of, marrying, setting up a home, and doing that. What are the young men doing? So if I cannot even feed myself, how am I going to feed my wife and my kid?
And of course the government.
So there is impertinent issue. They are saying, where are the jobs? I want work. Where are these jobs? I want capital to start a business. Where is that money? So the least we can do is not listen to them. We are fathers. When our daughters and sons ask us, what shall we do? What do? We don't beat them up. We don't chase them out of the house. We just reason with them. What President Ruto should have done is the way he began in Nyahururu. I've had the young people, they are tribalists, they are doing all these good things. Call them. Say now, call your leaders. I want to meet them in State House. And if they feel that State House is bad, let them choose a venue. I'm willing to go to them to Kasarani.
Would that also be the same format that the young generation are supposed to use to now stop this protest?
Yeah.
And also now wait for there to be some call for this coming together.
That's what we are saying.
Yes.
We are just saying we are all Kenyans. At the end of the day, nobody is leaving this country unless you want to migrate. We are saying we can talk. we can still talk. We have a very good constitution that offers us, all of us, avenues of channeling our grievances. But when you become stone deaf, you don't want to listen. When you become know-all, you are the one who knows everything. Yeah, of course, we are going to question. We are going even to ask, what did you study? Our president did botany. He didn't do economics. So we know. So listen to the economists. Listen to them. Listen to them what they are saying.
He has a team of economists. David D is in his team.
Yeah.
And so many other of his economists.
But it's not the ultimate economist. Yeah. Listen to divergent opinion. Listen to these young people. After all, they constitute 50% of our population. Even when it comes to, a democratic discourse. Do you know if these guys wanted to become MCAs, MPs, senators, whatever, the only thing they need to do is just to register as voters and vote. Yeah. And they will take all the offices. They will take over the government. It has happened in Senegal. You are getting what we are saying?
I'm getting.
So we are saying, in a nutshell, there are legal ways where the country can engage without the use of arms. We are not at war. So whoever is creating a war is not being political or politically very, very wise. We can talk.
Okay.
Just open doors.
Surely.
Talk.
That's very true. And that is why we are also actually even talking about having this particular call for sobriety and, of course, also sanity, where people can actually come to the table and, of course, exchange ideas and reason together. But Bwana Macharia, because the president has actually even been on record as saying we need to live within our means, and we know the method that he has used. Of course, to so many Kenyans, this was quite unpopular, but then he's been categorical that as Kenyans, as a country, we have to do what it is that it's possible to raise enough tax to be able to fix some of the challenges that we've been going through. But it seems the country is not agreeing with this method.
I think, Bwana Mwangicho, one thing you have to agree, there is a very big mismatch between collecting the money and the way the money is being spent. You are coming up with a very serious issue of, and this is a very robust tax regime that you are bringing up, of bringing all the money, even if you collect 90 trillion. But how is this money being utilized? We are talking about corruption in some of these government departments. And these young people here, you see here, they are going to Harambe. You see, like an MP last weekend gave 20 million in one Harambe. Surely.
Out of his investment?
Yes. No. Which investments are you talking about? You are not even a billionaire. You are just a tout the other day. You are an MP for 2 terms, and then you give 20 million, and then you expect these young people not to understand. Like you see now, I cannot buy a 5,000 shoe, and I tell my daughter she need a doll shoes for 500, and I tell her sina pesa. You cannot. We don't work like that. In a country where you see leaders living large, 15 million watches, and then you are telling our young people ati muendelee kuumia, and then you are not even empowering. Where is the youth money? Nothing. Where is the jobs ile kazi kwa vijana? Hakuna.
They are not in the account.
They are not. Which account are you talking about? Right now, for the last 1 year, there has been so many closure of so many companies. They are going away. So many companies are going even to Uganda, Tanzania to open up companies because their tax regime are favorable to them. They are being given opportunity tax incentives. They are being told, ukifungua hapa, we are going to give you land, just come and to construct a company, then you employ Tanzanians. That is a way of creating employment. Look at our young people. They are being told they will go to America, they will go to Dubai to work for jobs, but they don't have passports. Even IDs to acquire is still a problem. Now you are telling somebody who is in the house they are going to America, but even going to the market they cannot reach on foot. Because there is no bridge, there is no matatu. You understand, my friend? So we are talking to a population that must be listened by any means. We must now tell Kenyans, I'm going to collect 90 billion because our young people, when they look at that budget, they can see themselves in the same budget. Otherwise, you don't give them a blank figure at I want 4 trillion, while at the same time, unajenga manyumba. These houses you are constructing are being sold to the same rich people who are owning this Airbnb. You are just trying to tell these people, go home and sleep. while we work in government in quotes, they will come for you. They are coming for us. So it is up to the president now to understand. The time has now come. I cannot James stamp anymore. We have to listen. You see, like right now, we still have time, Mangicho. The 14 days, before the elapse of the 14 days, we have two options. One, if the president does not sign that bill within 14 days, it becomes automatically law and it takes effect as a finance bill in the Republic of Kenya. But at the same time, within the same time, the president can still take that opportunity, renegotiate, and still not sign the same bill and take it now to Parliament, just like we are saying through supplementary, and request for the same to be reviewed downwards. And this is now what our young people are asking. But each and every time you chest stamp yourself and you feel like negotiating or coming to a common ground is losing, now you are going to lose a republic. And this is now where we are going, because our young people, you will not tell us, call them criminals and all those names, and then they just go home. They will come for you. They will take twigs again on the street. We need to tell our people now. Within this period, we expected the president now to come up with a very better approach and tell Kenyans now, let us learn our lesson. You have seen our leaders, how they have been talking to us, calling us criminals. You saw even MPs telling us we don't know about governance. These young people have gone to university. They have done so many degrees. Even some of them are now becoming their own whatever. And then you are telling them you don't understand governance. And these MPs, just like you're saying, a class 7 dropout is now telling a graduate, you don't understand what you are doing. That is now the country we have, where there is no respect of one another, there is no respect of our institution, there is no respect of our view. And for the first time, our MPs have always been taking us for a ride, that we say this during public participation, but they do this during implementation. Now they have to understand, we are now calling them and telling them, even us, we are watching every step of the way that you are doing for this republic. It is better we stop those roads you want to build, but these young people have something to put in their stomach. It is better we say we are not going to invest in this county aggregation park, but at the same time life is bearable for the normal Kenya. Otherwise, we cannot tax them at the expense of saying that we want to see development in quotes. Kenyans utawatengenezea barabara, but they will not pass through them, because at the end of the day, Bwana Mangicho, they will have died, all of them. Our young people are becoming restless. And it is now high time we have a national dialogue on our young people, even across all our counties. Okay. But we cannot continue to ignore our young people and call them Generation Wood or whatever. Even us, we have been called names. But at the same time, like my friend, we have been in this movement for so many years. We have been called names, lazy, nini, but we were just trying to raise the issues the Generation Z is trying to say today, that you have to listen to us. Either reject the finance bill, we start all over the president, and we are telling you as our children, as our father, listen to these young people. Then, so that even the church, and I am so happy, even the church has now come out to say we have to sit down and talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just to add one word.
Yes.
We elected Ruto as president, not tax collector.
We are coming back with still much more, even as we continue with this particular discussion on the call for sobriety and also reason together. We are saying at a time like this, it is important for us as a nation to come together, to sit on the table and have a talk. Let's see what is it that needs to be done so that we can ensure that tranquility and sanity continues to reign in this very beautiful country. There is that particular segment that is prepared by my colleague Paul Kagi on prominent faces, and Kagi today is telling me we are going all the way to Zimbabwe. So let's have that particular segment, our director on prominent faces.
Mugabe was born in 21st February 1924. Mugabe was born to a poor Shona family in Kutama, southern Rhodesia. Educated at Kutama College and the University of Port Harare in South Africa. He then worked as a school teacher in Southern Rhodesia, Northern Rhodesia, and Ghana. Mugabe was a Zimbabwean revolutionary and politician who served as Prime Minister of Zimbabwe from 1980 to 1987 and then as President from 1987 to 2017.
There is constructive politics and the politics of negativism. The politics of negativism as contrasted to constructive criticism have no place in a young country such as ours.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you're correct when you say the divide into tribes. Because if you talk of Shona and Ndebele, these are not tribes. These are a collection of tribes.
They speak different languages, don't they?
They speak different languages. There may be a variation of languages, but it is not correct to say Shona and Ndebele are two tribes.
Angered by white minority rule of his homeland within the British Empire, Mugabe embraced Marxism and joined African nationalists calling for an independent state controlled by the black majority. After making anti-government comments, he was convicted of sedition and imprisoned between 1964 and 1974. With Joshua Nkomo, Mugabe led a Marxist-inspired guerrilla war that forced the white-dominated government of Ian Smith to accept universal elections, which Mugabe's party, Zimbabwe African National Union ZANU, easily won. He formed a coalition government with Nkomo's Zimbabwe African People's Union ZAPU, but he removed Nkomo in 1982.
And the concept of setting up a party merely to oppose and not to assist a government in being to govern on a national basis.
In 1984, the two parties were merged as ZANU Patriotic Front as Mugabe moved to convert Zimbabwe from a parliamentary democracy into a one-party socialist state. His rule was marked by violence and intimidation and by a decreasing tolerance of political opposition. Long-simmering political tensions between Mugabe and the opposition party, headed by Morgan Tsvangirai, led to a hotly contested presidential election in 2008 and a protracted political crisis. An agreement for a power-sharing government was reached in September 2008, in which Mugabe would remain president but would cede some power to Tsvangirai, who would become prime minister. The power-sharing government was implemented in February 2009.
You're fighting each other. And they just are observers now. And as if they don't know what mischief they've caused, they stand aloof and say, look at them. They can't even be united. Look at them. Very criminal.
In July 2013, Mugabe won another term as president in an election that was denounced by the opposition as fraudulent. He resigned in 2017 after coming under fire for positioning his wife to succeed him. He died in September 6, 2019 in Singapore.
To harass us even in our independent countries. Regime change, Mugabe should not be there, we want someone else. Equator was telling me the other day that he had been told that, oh no, your party Chama cha Mapinduzi had been in power for too long. You must now allow another party also to take over. Is that democracy? And that was coming from Europe.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Leadership Wednesday. Of course, that is a Prominent Faces segment produced by my colleague Paul Kagi. And today featuring the late Robert Mugabe, former long-serving president of the Republic of Zimbabwe. And we are still continuing with my guest, Bwana Ben Masharia, is a governance analyst, and also Bwana Ben Githogo, also a political and governance analyst, looking at this particular subject on the calls for sobriety and even listening, of course, coming hot on the heels of what we witnessed yesterday in the country, a very, very unfortunate turn of events where we had violent protest, lives were lost, property was damaged, people were injured, and of course putting the country in a very precarious situation. But of course we always say that it is important for us to discuss, it is important for us to have a conversation, it is important for us to be in a position to talk. And of course we are talking about talking to each other and not necessarily talking at each other, so that we can find solutions to what is bedeviling us as a nation. So gentlemen, I know we are coming now to the close of this particular program, but coming to you, Bwana Githogo, of course the bill has left Parliament. It is now at the President's premise. Now, what happens to him if he assents to this particular bill? What doesn't happen, and what happens to him if he doesn't assent to it?
My colleague did mention that there is a window of 2 weeks. I'll be moving to court today to oppose the bill in its entirety, because I consider it is unconstitutional.
So there is that option?
Yeah, there's still that option for 2 weeks.
That is before it is assented?
Yeah, before it is assented.
Okay.
Because a lot of us will be moving to court. All manner of activists will be in court. There will be a lot of you definitely expect a lot of cases everywhere. We expect that there will be the rule of law will apply. But if he does...
So what will be your basis for moving to court? On what grounds?
It's unconstitutional. The people are saying we don't want it. And the people have the ultimate taxpayers. And if they say we are not able or willing to pay this, why would you force them?
Okay.
Because we are a country, a democratically elected country with responsibilities. I know I have to pay taxes. But you don't kill me so that you get the taxes, because otherwise how am I free or independent? Independence would mean that I know my responsibility as a citizen. I know that I should pay taxes, but those taxes should actually be used again to me. Because what is a government? A government is just a service provider where they tax me and I purchase services. I purchase services. I don't have a kid going to secondary school.
So from what has happened, do you think it would be very wise for the President not to assent to it?
Not to assent to the bill. I would say, Mr. President, don't do that. Because you'll be setting a very dangerous precedent where everything happening to 50 million of us will be blaming on that bill. But you can listen, and as we are saying, we can change very, very little the way the money is structured. Number two, the president to know the country does not belong to him. He'll be there for only 5 years or 10 years if we agree, and then he'll be gone. So you don't have to kill us so that you leave a legacy. You can actually govern us the way Kibaki didn't kill us. Go through what Kibaki did to improve the economy. You are going to get a lot of good literature there. Don't listen to D at all. Actually fire him. He's misleading you. That's not the way you develop a country. You must feel your people. Listen to what the young people are saying. Listen to what the old geezers like me are also saying, so that together we can have a conversation. So don't assent to it. If you do, so many things are going to happen. Number one, these kids have said that is not the end, and you don't know what they are going to do next. And they are capable of sabotaging their country. Why do we have to arrive at that? Where you can only listen. You listen, we argue, because people fight because they have not argued. You argue a point, we also argue a point. There's a legacy you want to leave. Please send that dream to us. Let us buy it in peace. But you don't do that by killing 20, 30 people in their 20s. That's not the way to go.
Good.
And even the speech that was given, there was no mention of the loss of life. There was a lot of mention about loss of property. Me, I don't care about property. That is something people can recoup. There are all manner of insurances that have been put on all those institutions, but the loss of life is permanent.
It's permanent, sure.
That guy died permanently. We never see their voices. We never see their families. We never know what they would have contributed to a national building, So let's also put a premium on the sacredness of life.
Thank you so much, Bwana Gadogo. Before I give you Bwana Macharia to also give us your parting shot, let's have our segment known as Know Your Constituency. We have that particular segment, Know Your Constituency, where we want to familiarize ourselves with our constituencies in the country. And today we are taking you all the way to this particular county known as Makueni County. And here we have this particular constituency known as Mboni constituency. It is an electoral constituency in Kenya, one of the 6 constituencies in Makueni County, and it was established for the 1966 elections. The current MP for Mboni constituency is Hon Erastus Kivasu. Hon Erastus Kivasu, that is the current MP. Of course, we have previous members of parliament, 1966, Simon Musau Kioko, come 1969 again, Simon Musau Kioko. 1974, we had Frederick Mulinge Kalulu. 1979, Frederick Mulinge Kalulu. Then 1983, we had Joseph Konzolo Munyao. 1988 again, Johnston Mwendo Makau. Then 1992, Johnston Mwendo Makau. Then come 1997, Frederick Mulinge Kalulu. 2002, Joseph Konzolo Munyao. 2007, we had Mutula Kilonzo. Then 2013, Michael Kisoi. 2017, Erastus Kivasu, and still the incumbent for 2022 general elections, that is on Erastus Kivasu. We have some words in Mboni constituency. We have Kako, we have Kalawa, we have Katangini, we have Kisau, we have Kiteta, we have Kithungo, we have Mboni, and we have Tulimani. Those are the words that we find in Mboni constituency. And finally, the main economic activity there is that we have agriculture, fruits, grains, and also beekeeping. And we also have minerals, where we have graphite, we have copper, and we have garnet, those being some of the main economic activities from Mboni constituency being found in Makueni County. Bwana Macharia, your parting shot, what happens? What are some of the probabilities that we have if the president were to assent and if you are not to assent, even as you maybe put your appeal? Just briefly in 1 minute.
If the president does not, actually for me I would just say that the president should not sign the bill. Actually he would send it back to parliament.
Just hold on a bit as they look at that particular mic. We are going to have the leadership quote. We can have the leadership quote for today. Look at our leadership quote for today. Before our guest, Bwana Macharia, gives us the parting shot. And our leadership quote for today is this: the pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expects it to change, and the leader adjusts the sails. So that is our leadership quote. The pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expects it to change, and the leader adjusts the sails. That is by John Maxwell. That is by John Maxwell. The pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expects it to change, and the leader adjusts the sail. Karibu Bwana Macharia.
Thank you, Bwana Mangicho. I think for me, where I sit, I want to appeal on behalf of the many millions of our young people, and even among Kenyans, not just our young people. All the generations are affected by this finance bill. which means that even if I'm taxed more, I can't be able to afford my life. I cannot even buy my mother medicine where she is, leave alone supporting my young girl or my young boy to go to school and be able to start over life there. And I want also to tell Mr. President, this is not a matter of life and death for Kenya. It is not the end of Kenya. Kenya is not ending in June 30th. Kenya is not ending in July 30th, but we will still be here and our generation will still be here. We must reach to this conversation and decide we don't need to do everything at the same time. We don't need to do everything and expect that at the end of the day, we will sacrifice our people, we will hang everybody just because we want the taxes as raised. But even as we go forward, we want to encourage the president that even when you go there and commit yourself among the things that you want to do in terms of debts and all that, you must always learn what is the position of your people. They become cardinal, they become the focal point. So just also reject the bill yourself, don't assent to it, and kindly, Mr. President, just also understand that nobody was there to cause a distraction, but there was a lot of provocation, and this will lead. And to our MPs, I want also to tell them, you have lost credibility as the leaders of this republic. You must redeem yourself. Otherwise, going forward, it will not be business as usual for all of you, because Kenyans will not allow to be taken in a ride, in a charade of lies, in a charade, in a circus, while at the same time we are blindfolded on where we are going as a country. We are in charge, and we shall be in charge, and there is Kenya even after the current leaders.
Ben Macharia, political and governance analyst, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and your contribution on the Leadership Wednesday show. We are looking forward, of course, for tranquility and even for some solutions and consensus on this very, very important subject. Also, Bwana Ben Gadogo, thank you so much for making time to be with us on the Leadership Program. That's how we bring it to a close. We want also to appreciate you for your time, for your participation, and sure to continue playing your critical role as a Kenyan, as a citizen, as a patriot, as a voter in ensuring that we better our leadership. We'll do it again next week, the same time, the same place. My name is Mangi Chomola. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.